It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Hunting Sense,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Twisted Minds Bowstrings,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Antler Action,
and Family Traditions Tree Stand.
And don't forget you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight on a December Sunday evening as Danny untangles all of his cables over there.
A warm
It is warm.
December 16th.
It is warm. It's kind. I wouldn't say unusually warm, but it is warm.
Well, it is because we usually don't have ice fog.
That's true. Yeah, we have ice fog.
We
It's
had ice
formed
fog
here.
this morning.
You know what I saw today? I seen some ice on some of the lakes, some of the bigger lakes.
I went for a little walk today, and on the smaller ponds, yep, they're ice covered.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like it's cold.
Start getting the ice fishing gear ready, you think?
I'm getting ready for you to send you out to start testing.
That ain't happening.
You
Why is it always the big fella?
Because then I know I'm clear.
And I don't mean Santa Claus.
Right.
Speaking of.
Ron Moses is heading to Chicago. I am so
Sorry to hear that, Ron. Enjoy that trip. Mm-hmm. You know my thoughts about that town.
You know that my thoughts about that town.
Mike Morris Jr. Tuning in tonight as well. Thanks for tuning in tonight.
Yeah, but you know it's warm out. It's amazing.
I shot the bow today.
See, it's that warm.
It is.
How often have we done that?
In December? Probably not a whole lot.
Unless you were hunting.
You know, it was beautiful out there. Matter of fact, you know, let me just show you what I was dealing with today. Look at that right there. Look at the sun shining.
Did you have your Hunter's Blend coffee while you were shooting?
No, I saved it for tonight for the show.
Oh, okay.
But sun was out, you know, and actually you can see the clouds there. I mean, it was foggy, and yeah, I just decided, you know, what the heck, I need to get out and do some shooting. I wanted to do something today outside. I just needed to get out because I've been cooped up all week, and I broke the PSE Phenom out because you and I have talked quite extensively here amongst the two of us about shooting indoor leagues,
doing the indoor league thing, and yeah, it's like typically we'd be out hunting, but you know, weekend downtime with weather like this it is today.
Yeah,
it's just amazing that look, you can see the grass there, and
yeah,
I swear the grass got greener.
It did.
Okay. I'm not imagining that.
There you go. Look at that. Even my bow got greener in the strings.
See? Exactly. Your bow got greener because of the sunshine.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, it's amazing. Just a couple days of warm weather, and all of a sudden you start like seeing the grass turn greener.
Absolutely.
And it's like,
picks your mood up.
Yeah, it did. It's
a
like
little sunshine
today while walking. That was kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely. So how'd you shoot?
Well, let me show you, Danny.
Well, show me.
Let me show you. I flung I was shooting groups of 3, and I shot, I don't know, 7, 8 rounds. That was my, not second, that was my third to last group right there that I shot.
Nice.
Not a bad grouping. I was shooting 18 meters because
that's what
Mr. Beasley, who has kind of talked to us about these indoor leagues down here at Oakland County Sportsman's Club, he said that you shoot 18 meters.
There you go.
So that's
why not practice at 18 meters?
Yep. So that's why I was practicing and getting my bow set up. You know, taking and moving my 20-meter pin to 18 meters. And here's my last group of the day.
There you go. Look at you.
So wavering a little bit.
Not too shabby.
You know, but what?
When was the last time you shot the bow?
Oh man.
See?
Probably October.
There you go.
You know, seriously, probably middle of October. So it's been a while since I've shot. So,
you know, and Jim Beasley's commenting on our live feed. Pike Masters Classic coming up at Spot Shooters Archery.
Oh, that sounds like a good fishing tournament to me.
I was going to say,
okay.
Be. We'll have to check into that.
Yeah, Jim, we're going to come over and get more information. Actually, Saturday I might stop over at the shop. Like I said, I need to bring the Phenom over. I need just a little tweaky on it. Just a.
And then Jason Radecki says Lake St. Helen has 6 inches of ice, and his cousin caught a 40-inch pike.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, matter of fact,
winter fish dinner.
Downtown Holly, the lake. I don't know the name of it after.
I know what you're talking
about. As you're heading into downtown Holly on the right hand side, they were out on their ice fishing.
So there's people on the ice.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know how thick it is. That's why I want you to go test it for me.
Did you see Shanny?
Yes.
Okay, so
A guy, there was,
if he got Shanny, I'm good.
okay, right. Denny Steiner's checking in along with Kevin Craven.
Mr. Steiner, what is going on?
But yeah, it's kind of weird. We got the fog. You're out shooting your bow, but we've got ice on the lakes coming.
That's right. Who else did you say? Was that Chris Kreiner that's on?
No.
Oh, Kevin Craven.
Kevin Craven was
Okay, all right.
on. Which is kind of cool because I kind of want to get out and do some hard water. We had fun last year.
Well, you only went one time.
But did we not have fun?
We did have a good time. But
That's all that matters.
But I want to do some big fishing, ice fishing this year. I'm not that catching some panfish is not fun, but I would like to put something in the freezer that I can eat throughout the winter, and have and hold up. It takes both hands to hold it up.
We need to make a trip up to Houghton Lake again.
We can do that. We can always do that.
That was fun when we did it.
It was. It was cold, but
It was a little 30 inches of ice. Cold.
right. But no, I got out today and did some shooting. It felt really good.
Okay, let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
After you got warmed up shooting, has our working out been helping?
That was the very first thing I actually noticed when I locked my release on, because we shoot the stands. The new style release. It's more of a spring thumb release. I wish I had it. I should have brought it in here, but anyway, when I pull back, it's just like whoop. I was like, okay, yeah, it's work. I didn't feel any stress or anything. I mean, it came right to, and sometimes first couple times you kind of get that little creep on it. Didn't get any of that.
There you go. It's working.
It is working
because we are 2 months into going now.
A little over 2 months.
Yep, a little over 2 months. I think we decided about October 12th was our go date. And I went Friday afternoon, and I definitely did some cardio that I was pretty proud of myself for doing. It was like, wow, I did it.
It is working, and we've talked about it a little bit here on the show about getting in shape, for shooting our bows, for hunting, for, just getting in shape.
Just general all-purpose in shape.
I have not felt this good in years.
Good.
Physically,
Good.
I still got probably a good 30 to 40 pounds I want to take off.
Like we said, we're in a marathon. We're not in a race.
Right.
So even though we're going to keep going 4 days a week, sometimes 5, but I think in the long run, check back in 6 months and see where we're at. Yeah, so,
as we go through this process, we're going to keep, we won't pound you guys with it, but we're going to encourage you to work out with us, kind of. Maybe we'll start posting, hey, we're heading to the gym or something, and get a hunting workout group together to encourage each other. Because I tell you, honestly, when I decided to do this, there's no way I would have done this if it hadn't been for you.
It helps. It
helps tremendously.
It does help having
somebody to go with,
or someone to go with, or somebody to encourage. If we can't go at the same time, it's like, hey, you gonna go tonight? Well, I went this afternoon, so you better go tonight.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Bevan's Lake in Holly, Jim Beasley says.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but yeah, it's one of those things. And my daughter's girlfriend Gabby was going Friday afternoon, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll go. Yeah, she almost killed me.
I wish I'd have been there to see that.
Yeah, don't worry, you're gonna feel it tomorrow when we do it again.
Well, he was complaining about legs. Legs is my strength. I mean,
so is mine.
I can cook through legs, but he's complaining about the leg workout.
Well, you'll understand.
My nemesis is arms, and he's about put me in the hospital a couple times.
It's
especially
understand.
the other night when short little story here. We go over to this machine that we've used one time, and somebody was using it, so we switched over to the other one. He's like, yeah, it's the same thing. Hook up the chains, and it's basically a roll pull.
Oh, the bro.
Yeah, and this one was a little different. It had 2 cables to it, but we've been pulling 70 pounds on it the first time we did it, so put it on 70, and I think it actually doubled it.
It must have. It's the only thing I can think of.
It dang near killed me, but did I do my full set?
You did.
I did my 15, then when we went and switched to the other machine to do the rest of them.
You were dying.
But yeah, he tried to kill me, folks.
But that's what we're doing, and, we got a trainer to help us out, give us a 4-day program, so we're adding things. It's good, and
get physically fit, guys. Gals.
Absolutely, because it only can help you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I'm 53 years old, and am I in shape? No, I'm not in shape. But I tell you what, physically, I feel better than I felt in years.
That's a good thing. See, and then today you're out shooting your bow, and you're putting groups like that together.
Yeah, so. I did struggle a little bit with a couple of little things, and it took me the first couple 2 or 3 rounds of the 7 that I shot weren't nowhere near that tight. But
Okay.
I mean, they'd have been kill shots. But the point is I was dealing with a couple things, and one of them was I had a hoodie on, and I've talked about this when I put back in.
Yeah.
You know, getting into that hoodie, so I had to let down. I had to get the hoodie off, and I had another jacket on over it, and I had to actually peel that collar back, fold it down, because when you get into here with that's got that spring release on it. If you touch that, it's going on. You know.
Yes, it is.
So,
and it was either Jason Pfister or Matt Howard gave us the tip of taking that collar and
turning it in,
tucking it in.
Yep. So. I got that back out of the way, and then started dialing the my adjustment to get, because I was set on 20 meters. I was going to 18, and I mean, that to finish the day, that right there, I was okay with that. I just need to tweak a little more. I'm floating a little left and a little right, but that comes with practice.
Yep.
You know, so
absolutely.
You know, for not shooting for 2 months and breaking it out, and actually, I haven't shot that bow
Longer
since we shot. In
wasn't it Labor Day ish? September.
When did we shot that last?
Maybe it was August. I think it was August.
It's been a while. Yeah, I think it might have been August. Or we were down at was it Mudjaw, or were we down at Adams Conservation Club in Ohio, in Toledo. So it's been a while since I've shot that bow, and it felt good to get that one back in my hands and rip a few. So
absolutely. And Denny Steiner wants to apologize that he's late because he's been the last hour talking to Paul Penix. Only an hour.
So that was a short conversation.
Yeah, right?
You know, Mr. Paul, got to give that guy a lot of...
Shout out to Paul Penix.
Yeah, big shout out to Paul Penix. He's the guy that gave me my start in the industry. So.
And shout out to Denny Steiner for being less than an hour talking to Paul Penix.
Right, yeah. You must have talked really fast, is all I can say.
He didn't say a word. But, you know, it's awesome. Good to get out there and shoot the bow, obviously, and feel good. I'm glad to hear that our working out is going in the right direction.
It is. So I tell you what, though, we're bumping up here on our first break. You also did a little bit of outdoor stuff today that we want to talk about as well. So let's take our first break. We'll step outside. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation about a great day here in Michigan. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back to the second segment of the show. I'm half a cup down. Actually, this is my second cup, I have to say. So.
Got my 1 cup down. I'm good.
Are you good to go?
I'm good for the night because 4:30 is going to come pretty early tomorrow.
Right. Well, you're probably tired from all that walking you did today.
You know what? It was awesome out there today. It was a couple days in the making because the weather was getting warmer and warmer. Mm-hmm. But first thing, before we go there, which kind of led me to my walk, last week, dude, I brought you the bottles, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. He brought me the bottle.
Yeah.
Your standard size pill bottle, and this is something we want to talk about real quickly on the show.
Yeah, this is real quick because this is how I keep my cards, and I got them labeled.
Turn it up to the camera so they can see it.
And I keep my cards, and I got them labeled A, B, C, D, and E, and a spot for F. But then these correlate with what cameras that I carry.
Okay, so you got them labeled that way.
Yep. So I got camera A, B, C, D.
Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3. I got 4 here right now, 4 SD cards, standard size SD cards. And I actually, a good friend of mine, Luke Sitton from up at Turtle Lake, showed me this trick. He was asking me how I manage my trail cams, or my cards, my SD cards. And he showed me this. He's like, well, just get a standard pill bottle, that you get a prescription in, take the labels off and everything, clean it out a little bit so there's no smell to it. And he said, put a cotton ball in the bottom, which we haven't done yet, but then take and drop your cards in. And you can put a cotton ball on top, or you can put enough cotton balls where it reaches the top. And what he does is he's got 2 different colors, whether it be red and blue, pink and blue, green and red, whatever. And he'll have another one, and I don't remember which color's which, but for me, I would probably go green is good, green is good, G is good. It's go.
Yep.
So that means it goes in the camera, and red is, to me is stop. It's full, and I would put my spent cards in here, and I would have my other cards in the other one with a color coordinated that they're clear and ready to go.
Yep.
So you have 2 of these in. But the reason for the cotton ball is so you...
Yeah, it eliminates the rattling. Plus that just adds wear to the cards themselves.
Sure. Yeah, so you don't want it in your pocket, especially if you're doing it while you're out hunting and you're stopping by your cameras on the way through. So just a quick little tip that you guys can try. Let us know how it works. I'm gonna come up with some cotton balls in these and color coordinate them to where they work for me, and I'm gonna start trying something like that, because what I've been doing is taking that Wild Game View card reader.
The card reader, yep.
Plugging it into my iPad, taking that with me, pulling it out of my backpack. This way I can just stop, change them, go, and I can use that same card reader later back at camp.
There you go.
And buzz through them. So
absolutely. But
make the stop quicker.
So I put a camera out in my backyard.
Yes.
Just for my viewing pleasures of watching deer.
I've seen a ton of photos from that thing, man.
Yeah.
You were showing me these.
So I've had bucks throughout the year, and I've had a particular buck that's been around all year long. I've had posted pictures of him during the summer. He lets me get within 15 feet of him typically, and we talk and have a good conversation. And he started coming in.
What's his name?
This is actually 7, so let's go with 7.
Oh, okay. It's 7.
I don't want to name him, because if I name him, then I can't shoot him.
I can. Back straps.
Yeah, I know. Right?
Steak.
Anyway, so he was coming in, and he always visits. And all during the season, he's been coming in and out. Kind of got a little skittish and a little more towards evening, nighttime kind of gig going on, but he started showing back up.
Yeah, this one's at 5:15 on the 10th of this month.
Right, and so he was there, and no big deal. But then he decided to come up back 2 hours later.
Okay, let me get the photo here. So he comes back in at 7:52, so about 2.5 hours later.
He's missing something.
Yeah, he's missing a lot of headgear.
Right, and that shocked me.
And actually, you can see the pedicle.
Yeah, and that shocked me, and I was like, whoa. So I had to go back, and I was looking. I said, yeah, that's him, because he now has a limp.
Okay, so I was going to ask, how do you know it's the same buck?
Yes, so now he has a limp. He's I don't know if he's hurt or he hurt himself or something happened, but he now has a little bit of a limp to him.
Okay.
And so he came in 2 hours later, and he's missing his headgear. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty quick. And I said, you know what? He must have his antlers, they got to be close within, because his area that I know of, his core area, is pretty close.
Okay.
I'm in it because he's been around me the whole summer.
Right.
So I was like, all right. So it started warming up, and I said, hey, we got to go for a walk. So I got my daughter and her girlfriend, Gabby, today, and we decided to go for a walk. And we covered quite a bit of distance behind the house, across the street where he tends to come from, and a little bit to the west. We didn't go all the way to the west yet. That's our next walk. But, so I was kind of out particularly looking for this set of sheds, because I have other pictures of bucks that have, up until the last couple of days, they still have the horns.
Okay. Is this the other one you were wanting to show?
So this is the other guy.
Okay. And obviously he's still got his
headgear. And he's kind of a newbie in town.
Okay.
He showed up about October.
Okay.
And I didn't see him all summer long.
Okay.
And there was another buck that's a little bit more narrower, probably another 8-point. I got on another picture that he's with him. And then I got a picture before the other one lost his headgear with him. So that definitely told me the rut was over.
Right.
And that was the 10th, so that was probably the 8th of November they were together. But yeah, so I was out today, and with it being a little cool, we went out kind of early, so it kind of was a little frozen, so it wasn't all muddy back there.
Right.
Which was nice. I did come upon a kill. I'm going to call it a kill that what I found. I found one in this area last year, matter of fact, and I thought maybe it was the same one, but I don't think it was. So I brought the jaw in, and I was like, all right, here's the jaw from it was a doe, because I found the skull to it as well. Okay. And you said, you looked at this, and you're saying this is probably about a 2.5-year-old doe.
Yeah, you said it was doe.
Yeah, the skull was round as could be.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of what I'm guessing, from what little bit of knowledge I have on aging deer off of jawbones, and I've learned this through QDMA and took the classes on this. To me, that looks like it's about 2.5-year-old.
And she was right by a pond. I mean, looks like she got taken down. We have heard coyotes in the area before. I didn't see nothing to tell me that it was an arrow. I didn't see no arrow or nothing like that. So,
did you see any broken rib bones?
No, I saw the rib cage intact. That's how we kind of spotted it. Actually, was the rib cage was
sticking up.
Okay,
I was just wondering. A lot of times you can tell if it, especially down in this part of the state, it's shotgun, straight wall cartridge, or muzzleloader. So you're thinking, if it's a side wound, you're going to hit a rib bone and break a rib bone, so
exactly.
You'd be able to tell if it was a gunshot.
Nope. From what I could tell, the rib cage was intact. It was laying on its side, so it looked pretty intact. But we walked. We found some good rub lines, but I couldn't find these sheds, so I got to continue my walk.
And so you haven't given up yet?
Oh no. There's another area that I need to go where he heads south.
Okay.
And I got to walk that portion of the woods.
Okay.
So I got a plan to. And I'm hoping in the meantime that these other guys lose their headgear. And, of course, it probably fell off in somebody's yard, and they went, hey, here it is.
That and their dog probably grabbed a hold of it and got his new chew toy.
So, right. So, but, it was so cool walking.
Now, step back just a little bit. Given 5 years ago, would you have picked that up?
I don't know if I would have actually picked it up. I might have. We've picked skulls up before, up at the camp. I might have. But this is, you
look things a little more critically.
Absolutely.
Now.
You look at it, and I found the skull, and I'm like, okay, find me a jaw. And Kelly found the jaw. She's like, oh, it's over here. So, all right, that's all I need.
There you go.
Let's find out how old this thing is and look at it. And,
right.
I found one almost in the exact same area that this one was found. So it kind of leads me to believe it's a really good pinch point for the animals when they get in that corner. So I don't know. I kind of have my ideas of what's going on over there, but I don't think it's hunting related.
Is it something you can talk about or no?
Oh, yeah. No. I don't think it's hunting related, and it better not be hunting related.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. I think that they get in there, and the coyotes will get in there. And I don't think she was hit by a car. I think where she was located, I don't think that would be a good spot.
Okay.
Compared to where roads are.
EHD? Have you seen a lot?
No, this is the only one.
Okay.
Only one. It was by water.
That's when you said that earlier. It kind of made me, think a little bit. Maybe.
It's the only one we found around the pond or around the.
We didn't have a real dry season.
I don't think
this summer, did we?
I don't think so.
Not that I remember.
If we did, it might have been a light case, but we haven't heard of any big cases.
Right.
But no, just getting out there. Amazing what you find out in the woods. It's just one of those things. The squirrels were all everywhere today. Birds, but it was cool.
Warm weather brings the critters out,
Yeah, they were.
They were like us, They like to get out and move and stretch a little bit.
They were squawking at us left and right. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, if I had a gun,
right,
you guys would be toast.
So no, that's cool though.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. You look and you look, and I was hoping to find these sheds. I want to find these sheds, and not yet.
Yep.
Stay tuned.
Well, just keep an eye back there. If you see more, bring them in. We'll check them out and age them.
That's exactly what I'm doing. It's like, all right, I found this one. I know where that one's at. So I'm gonna, when I sweep to the west and to the south, it's pretty thick through there. So I'm hoping that's a go-to spot.
There you go. Right on. Anything else today? Do anything else outside?
No, that was about it outside. Trying to fix my Christmas lights, but
so the pizza man can find your house.
Well,
in the summer.
You're right.
Do you leave them up all year?
Off. I've thought about it.
Have you?
No.
Okay.
The latest was, I think, May.
That's pretty late.
Yeah.
All right. I tell you what, we're bumping up here close to our second break. Let's go ahead and take it because we come back. I have a feeling we might get into a little bit of discussion that might take a little time. So we're going to step outside. We're going to take our next break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about coyotes and a little bit about CWD in any particular order that you care to. So we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show. All right.
Where do you want to start?
You tell me. Where do you want to go?
Well, Let's talk about coyotes.
Talk about coyotes? All right, we can talk about coyotes. Recent article, we actually published it, or not published it. It wasn't our article. We shared it today on the Up North Journal page, and it was from a friend of yours, very close friend of yours, an acquaintance of mine now, Pat Durkin from over in Wisconsin, and he had an article about coyotes.
And that's interesting that he posted this article. You shared it because I just happened to be watching a show. I want to say Thursday night, maybe Friday night, and they were out on a farm.
Okay,
and they were out coyote hunting. And I literally, they were setting 2 sets at a time and getting doubles every time.
Trapping?
Yes, foothold traps.
Where at? Wisconsin?
No, it was. I want to say it was like a Kansas maybe. I'll have to look and see if I can find out what city it was.
Okay,
but it was. I mean, literally, they set the trap right at dusk, left, came back the next morning, and
bang,
there was 2.
Right.
They had that multiple times.
Okay,
so I was like, wow.
So. Kind of like what I've been dealing with, they're covered up in them.
Pretty much. That's how it was portrayed, that they were covered up in them and they were trapping them to help ease on the deer herd.
Okay, all right. Not to change the subject real quick, but Sean Sullivan, I don't know about Jackson, but I would get on any of the archery forums here in Michigan, and I would ask about that question. And as for Ron Moses, no, I did not get a chance to see it. I know the NRC meeting took place, but I did not get a chance to watch it. But yeah, getting back to the coyotes, there was a couple things in the article that kind of struck me. I don't necessarily agree with everything that was in it, but there were some very interesting things that I picked up on out of that article. There was the talk about basically once you shoot coyotes and you're hammering them, it opens the habitat to receive more coyotes to come in to fill those voids. And I've heard that, and I understand that dynamic, but the way it kind of weaved its way was that no matter how hard we try, we can never really make a huge impact in the coyote population enough to sustain growth in our deer herd. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that statement.
Well,
and I'm not sure that's exactly the way he was portraying it, but that's what I got out of it.
Well, it also
I don't want to misquote him.
It also gave the Ontario study that was done on they were watching several packs, and if the pack didn't move for 2 to 3 hours, they'd go into that area and look for them because they found out that meant they were on a kill.
Right, and we're talking about coyotes, not wolves.
Yep,
and they were GPS.
They were GPS, and to make sure that wolves were not used as an alibi. Right. There's no wolves in the area.
Right.
So throw that out of the equation. So they would go in, they'd look. There was 3 moose kills, a calf, a 6-year-old, and a 20-year-old.
Mm-hmm. So they had 3 instances, and there was a couple others that they really couldn't nail down specifically to give 100% credit to the coyotes, but they were very suspectful.
Right, exactly. And taken away from the article that I read just before we went on air was the fact of they learned of what they needed to do to take down a moose.
Yeah, we're talking coyotes.
Yeah, they figured it out, and they learned, okay, how do we take down a moose? Well, we're not going to go into an open field. We're not going to go in the water after them. But if we run them up a hill,
up a steep incline in thick cover.
They can't. First of all, they're going uphill at about 40 to 45 degrees into thick cover, which means they can't wheel and kick. Mm-hmm. And it worked out for them.
Yeah. Is this an instance? This is my question. Is this become a learned behavior of the coyotes to know that they can take down moose this way? And the 6-year-old was a healthy moose. They didn't find anything.
Yeah, that's what they did say, that like the 20-year-old probably had I want to say osteoporosis.
Kind of like that.
It was kind of like that, getting old.
Yep.
And so you think, okay, then like you said, the 6-year-old was pretty healthy.
Right. So is this a learned behavior? Have they learned to do this and adapt? I think the coyotes have learned to adapt to what I would call semi-urban areas and even urban areas.
I want to say even urban areas because we've been hearing them in Detroit.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, downriver they've had them, and in the Grosse Points they've had them, and it's so it has to be a learned behavior.
They're adapting to their environment, into their surroundings and their habitat. But to me, to be able to take down a moose, I mean, that's one reason that what I told you about that happened to me back in in the first week of November when I was up bow hunting. And I had 4 different distinct packs within probably a quarter mile of me.
Exactly.
And I was like right in the center. And it's like
you were din.
I was like, yeah, it's time, And I was ready to get down out of the tree anyway. But the point is like, yeah, it makes you stop and think for just a minute. It's like, okay, what if? Well, if they're taking down moose.
You're not big as a moose, tell you that right now. Buddy.
Right. Firearm. I got a firearm. It's a little different story. You hear the boom.
How many bullets you got?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when you fire a gun, they're all privy to that. They've been educated, so they're going to take off and run.
Right,
so.
and like Jason Radecki says on the live feed, you can shoot 70% of coyotes every year for 50 years and still not dent the coyote herd.
And you actually alluded to that fact that you had something very interesting. You made a comment, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. And that was?
That was, okay then. So then predator hunting and coyote hunting is good for forever because we can keep on hunting them. The resource is renewing itself at a great pace.
That's right. So why not?
Why not? Get out there and do some predator hunting because we're not hurting them.
And that was another thing they were talking about in the article or that Pat had mentioned was the fact that the coyote is, the persecuted predator, in America.
Right off, if you come right off the top, yes. But having read some of the studies and learning some of the things, it's actually the black bear is a big one.
It's a big one, yes.
Then you got coyotes, then you got wolves, then you got bobcats. But
the deer hunter...
But the deer hunter will typically see, because it's November, will typically see a coyote more than they will see a bear.
Absolutely.
Now, we have seen instances of guys shooting a deer and a bear's come and tried to drag the deer away.
Right.
Which, it happens. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so they're definitely on the other end of the Acme anvil falling on their head. It's just, they're the bad guy.
So the question is, and to the listeners out there, I mean, generally speaking, the whitetail hunter wants to eradicate them. We understand that. And I'm of the mindset I think they need to be thinned out, especially up at our place. But shooting them, does it make a difference? If you're actively putting the hammer down on your local population, whether it be hunting, aka trapping as well, both of those instances, and you're really trying to make a concerted effort to slam them, are you going to be able to make a difference?
I think to a point, yes. I think the article is right in a way by saying that we can never get rid of them. But I think you can dent them and sway them to say don't be here anymore because of the fact that they kind of figured out that every time they come X something happens and one gets one less.
Right. So what about time of year? This is a big debate that we've had with a guy I've had at our camp that we've talked about this many, many times. Do you drop the hammer on them more so in the winter season, or do you wait until right before fawning season and drop the hammer on them? The dynamic we work with at our camp, and this was with the Indiana guys that just came up, and we were talking about it, and I'm like, well, yeah, they really can put a herd on the deer herd in the winter, and they're like, well, why? That's because they run on top of the snow when it crusts.
They're light-footed, right? They can run on top of the snow where deer dives right into the snow.
You get a snowpack, they can cruise on it, where a deer is a lot slower in that.
What was the consensus?
I think between him and I having this debate, we've talked about it many times. I honestly don't know. He's of the opinion that we need to put the herd on him, April-ish.
Okay.
Right before the fawn drop into May, and if you're trying to manage your property and you're making a concerted effort and you're on that property on a repeated basis, dropping the hammer on them, they get the message that we need to move out of this area. And then you once you get past that 6 weeks of fawn drop, do you back off a little bit? I don't know. Then you start talking about trickle rut, the second and third fawn drop. So, then it's spread out. How much time can you really actively pursue and put the hammer on them?
It's funny you say that because...
And you can't trap at that time of year.
Nope. And the way I see it is like at our property. Mm-hmm. For as many times as we're up there and out a field of hunting, mm-hmm. I think anytime you get the opportunity would be a good opportunity. Mm-hmm. Now, if I was there on a weekly basis... And
you can only do this on private land.
Right.
They're basically fair game 365.
Yeah, if I was there on a weekly basis or live there per se, where I could say, hey, it's 4 o'clock, mm-hmm. let me head out to the field, get a sit on mm-hmm. for the next hour, and that might be different. Then you're right. That makes perfect sense to put the herd on them right before the fawns drop to kind of say, hey, get out of here for a while.
Yeah.
Give them a chance. That makes sense. But depending on how your hunting situation is and your travel time and stuff like that, I think any time is a good time.
You know, it's something else that you and I talked about before the show tonight, and I alluded to was the fact, okay, how do we control a population? How do we maximize our effect on a population or a herd or whatever? It's by controlling the amount of females that you have on the property. Like for the doe herds, we hammer the does to bring that buck to doe ratio down, back in check to control that population. Wouldn't it be neat if there was a way? I mean, and maybe there is, but I don't know of it, to be able to see coyotes and go, that's a female, shoot.
Oh,
shoot
yeah. If you saw them on a regular basis to that effect, yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, take your pick.
Right.
But I don't see them that often enough that...
Maybe a seasoned coyote hunter can explain some of that. Maybe we need to get a hold of Chris on that.
Yeah, we need to get a hold of Chris, get him on the show, tell him when he's... we've seen some of the videos when they're sitting on the field and they look and...
do you shoot the closest one? Do you shoot... Now, I know a lot of guys will shoot the furthest one so they can get a crack at the closest one.
Right.
So before they get out of range. But, there's different dynamics when you're hunting coyotes versus, a bear, a bobcat, I guess, or deer.
Exactly.
Squirrels, what have you.
And you can see the vicious circle that you're creating. Because if you provide great habitat for your deer, food plus, and they stick around all year round, the coyotes are going to be there because there's their menu.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so, all right.
And the other thing, the article that Pat wrote said, and I've actually heard this before as well, that there's studies that show when you start hammering a coyote population, that something in their DNA kicks in to where they repeatedly they breed. I don't know if they go into another breeding cycle or if it's the male hits more female. I don't know how that works, but they say that they breed more actively.
We need to start breeding because we need to bring up our numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty cool is what I think it is.
So it's nature's way of replenishing that population.
But nature's way, it sounds like, of also saying, hey guys, you can go out and trap and hunt these guys a lot more harder than...
Yeah, when you said that, I never thought about that. It's like, hey. So the quote, persecuted coyote, he may be persecuted, but you never really going to get rid of him.
Right.
I just don't see any way, any real way. And now they're in places they haven't typically been.
Well, that goes back to the urban thing, right?
Right.
Typically, we haven't seen them in Detroit. Grosse Points. Get it every once in a while. We'll get a news report that one was spotted. Everybody freaks out, of course, but he's more scared than anybody.
Right.
Poor guy. Oh. So, but yeah, no, it's coyotes. It's a vicious circle that it just gives us one more a hunt on or a trap. Get out there, do some trapping. And that's another cool thing. I was watching this and they were using the foothold traps, I think, and they were. It was kind of cool. It was you definitely can get up and close and personal. Boy, does he get cheesed off when you get close to him?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty wild. So, but yeah. Good article.
So
Pat's a good writer.
Just some, food for thought. And actually, he wrote that article for the Meat Eaters blog. He writes for them, I believe, once a week or once every other week. He said so. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So get over and check Patrick Durkin out. He's on Facebook as well. You can follow him.
Yep.
Patrick Durkin Outdoors, I think is what it is.
Well, we've had him on the show.
Yes.
You go back and search our list of shows. I think we've had him on twice now.
Yeah.
So.
And. Good guy to talk to.
Absolutely.
And he's one guy. He's a marathon runner, so we got a ways to go in our cardio to catch up to him.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to catch up to him. So. Right. I'll tell you what. We're going to step outside, take our last break, and we'll be right back after this quick message.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at PSEarchery.com.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show. Talking about coyotes, talking about warm weather.
Hey, let's talk about disease.
You want to end on a bad note, huh?
It's not a bad note. It's just something I think that
needs to be talked about.
Well, it's not need to be talked about, but it's going to pop up. That
it's in the news.
Jason Radecki, you said it moments. When I got in about Tennessee coming up with a CWD case.
Yeah, they had 10 cases pop up in Tennessee,
and then he messaged us right before we went on about North Dakota.
Yeah, North Dakota, they've had a case before, so they're not new on the list, but they've got a new case.
Right.
In northwestern or northeastern North Dakota.
Something like that, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we're seeing, CWD cases pop up, but we ran a story this week at our station that the UP has not come back with any new cases of CWD. And actually, I got to say that I did say something during the story that was being run. It was a little bit misleading because they had a picture, up over the shoulder, the graphic, and it said no new cases CWD. And I go, that's not true. I said, state of Michigan does have new cases CWD. I said, you need to be more specific in what you put on the graphic because if people don't really listen, they say, oh, Michigan, no more new. Well, I think they've had over 20 new cases, if I'm not mistaken, of CWD in the Lower Peninsula.
Oh, okay.
Last count, I think I'm right on that. I could be wrong, but I know there's new cases. But the UP does not have any new cases, so you're off the hook for a while up in your area of the woods.
Stay tuned.
Right.
We haven't gotten to next year.
That's right. So
because so I'm gonna get off that soapbox right away because I will. So with South Dakota getting it, or North Dakota, Tennessee getting it,
yep,
which is below us. Then you got Michigan. I'm getting a feeling that it's out there already. I think you just got to test for it.
Well, it's the people who I think really is the fact that we're testing for it now. We're going to find more cases of it. And it's like we've always said here, tell me if it's been here, for a long period of time, and we just now find it because we're testing for it. That's kind of my stance on it. I'm not going to wave a battle flag saying, "Oh, the world's ending." That does nobody any good. So, but yeah, I just found it interesting that we're expanding the CWD range, so to speak. So, what are you looking for? The newest numbers?
Yeah.
Danny's cruising the internet here, so there was a bar graph thing that had come out and had shown actually where they were located at and where they had found them at. So
there's a place out here on the World Wide Web where we can click and it'll give us the latest and greatest numbers. Nah, I'm not gonna be able to find it.
Yeah, we should have had it up here sooner. But
but anyways, it's one of those things we'll see what happens with the UP next year. They haven't had any new cases. They had one. Mm-hmm. They did if you notice, instead of doing a round buffer zone, they did like a north-south zone, which is basically their way of
travel corridor.
Yep. So stay tuned on that, and it'll be interesting.
What do you got?
Jason Radecki says North Dakota said it's the very first time that a deer has been found with CWD in the article.
I thought I read somewhere that they had found it somewhere. This is not the first time that they actually found it, that there was a case earlier in the state. But
anyway,
I don't know who's reporting it. So
it's going to be one of those things. It's going to be, and I don't know if they have any baiting or what out there, but it's like, here we go. Mm-hmm. What are they going to do?
Right.
Canada's right there. What are they going to do? It's like what Ohio's going to do to Michigan, right? Michigan's got it. Is Ohio protecting its border like we did up in the UP, right?
What's the reaction?
They've been testing up and down the Wisconsin corridor this whole time, and finally they got one. So,
CWD was first spotted in the state in 2009. That might be in a different game animal. It could have been in an elk, possibly. So, North Dakota got moose.
I think so.
I know they're close to the border, Canadian border, so could have been in that as well because I know that they, those animals carried as well. So, but kind of bringing things back a little bit full circle here. What we talked about with the coyotes chasing the moose. Another thing in that article that I found interesting, leading back to deer and what we're talking about now, was the healthy moose, the 6-year-old that they found. They actually tested the bone marrow in the leg, and when you do that in the late season, and they found this deer in the late season, this moose, it was not stressed or malnutritioned. You can tell by the bone marrow how healthy that animal is. So that was one thing that they had done, And
Dr. Deere showed us that.
Exactly. So taking that a little step further, remember back, it was last year they brought the buck in, had pneumonia.
Yes.
Okay. And that's kind of where I'm taking this back around to
okay.
our discussion that we had at camp last weekend. And we were talking about taking enough doe earlier in the season to get that part of our work done earlier and get it off the table. And the gentleman I was talking to is Perry Wood, the good friend of ours that has a co-op up in the area. And we were talking just about that very thing. And they're getting some disease control permits, which allows you to take deer earlier in the year, or basically out of season legally. And what they want to do is they wanted to take half of their does the first week of September, like Labor Day weekend. Okay. And I think for their co-op, I think their target number was going to be 40, so they wanted to take 20 of those doe at that time.
Oh, okay.
And part of the equation he was talking about, I've understood and I've heard before. When you've got food plots and you've got the food source out there, when you take the does away from the table, you take that mouth away from the table, you leave the food for other does.
Yeah, we've talked about that because they eat
and the bucks
5 pounds a day
on average. Right?
On average.
So why let them feed all the way into December muzzleloader season and go out there and try to drop them?
Right.
Take them earlier. But the one thing he said, and it kind of opened my eyes a little bit. He said, okay, so if we take them here in September early, or if we don't take them, those does, and we take them later in December, what's the one thing that's already been done to those does?
In September?
No, when we take them later in December.
Probably being bred.
They've already been bred. Okay, so that means you've had a buck out there chasing extra does. Let's say they're the 20.
Oh, yeah, okay.
However many bucks it takes to breed them have been chasing extra deer. They've wasted that energy.
Yep.
And expended their fat reserves to get that job done. And then you're going to kill that doe and the offspring that he sired. It's... You understand? If we do it before the breeding season, he's got that energy to breed other doe.
So if you let's take that number you used of 20, and
you're taking the pressure off the breeding season.
You're taking the 20 less off his back to worry about.
Right. Well, or their backs.
Right.
However many bucks it's going to take.
There's multiple bucks in the area, right?
Right.
But now they have to worry about 20 less.
Right.
Makes perfect sense, actually.
Right.
It does.
It takes stress off that herd.
And we talked about that. It's shooting them in October.
Yeah.
When you can get at them because of the bow season and shoot a doe. And it gives you about 3 to 5 weeks before the breeding season.
Right.
You can nail them, get one, and be done with it. But exactly. No, that makes sense. And I think that it all plays into that equation. Okay, now that's a good equation. We talked about the 5 pounds of food per day. He's talking about the breeding cycle, not putting the wear and tear on the buck.
Right.
Which, okay, so now let's close up the circle, right? That buck, when he gets a chance, now has that much more food that was left for him to eat quickly before he
rebuild his reserves before hard winter sets in and he gets chased by the coyotes.
Right.
And we tighten the rut up, so we dump all the fawns on the ground at the same time versus spread out over 3 cycles, thus making it harder for the coyotes to eat them all, or most of them. So it's just little things like that we can do as conservationists. We call ourselves hunters, but I mean, in the true sense of the word, if you're starting to think like this, it's more about conservation of the resource and being able to help maintain equal balance and health. So what do you got there? I seen you've been typing over there.
Yeah, I found the latest and greatest chart the DNR has to offer for us about CWD.
Okay.
So far to date, they've tested 55,957 deer.
Since they started testing?
Yes.
In what year, whatever that was?
Whenever that was.
Okay.
And they've come up with 106 positives.
Okay.
Do you like to tell me that percentile?
You want me to figure it out real quick?
0.001.
Oh, you've already done it?
Yes.
Okay.
So
the sky is not necessarily falling.
Right.
But I will say we do need to keep an eye on and manage for a healthy herd. I'm not discounting the fact that CWD is a disease in the herd and it can affect the herd, but it's just to what detriment and how serious. I'd like to see a little better game management in this state, and not necessarily going out and waving the battle flag all the time that we need to put the hammer on.
The sky's falling?
Yeah, I mean, other states are managing and have managed.
Case in point, Colorado.
Yeah, well, I think that was more of a mule deer situation.
Well, but it's still being managed to this date that they have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. And so you go from there, right? And Jason Radecki says, yes, they do have moose hunting in North Dakota.
Okay.
He also has his opinion as to why they said they found a CWDA case up in the Upper Peninsula. One other reason they can use band baiting.
Yeah. Well,
but I think the Upper Peninsula, I think, is a different dynamic due to the harshness of Mother Nature.
True.
So,
and even to that fact here in northern Michigan and the Lower Peninsula, up in the northeast section where I hunt, winter up there is cruel.
It can definitely be cruel if it sets an
very
early.
Cruel.
And that's one thing up in the UP is they're telling me to this date that they've got low numbers. Mm-hmm. So now you tell the people in the UP, okay, we're going to go in and now you need to shoot everything.
Right.
And that ain't going to that ain't going to fly well. I'll tell you that right now how that's going to work. But the numbers I see they're doing really good. I need another soft winter. Hopefully that happens. But right now we're up to 106.
106 total for the state since testing.
And
if I'm not mistaken, the first case of CWD in Michigan was discovered in
2015.
No.
Deer tested for chronic wasting disease since detection of first positive free-ranging deer.
Free-ranging, yes.
May 2015.
Free-ranging, that's the key. Because the first case was back, I think, in 2007 or 2008. And back when I was doing some writing for a different outdoor group, I picked that story up and cut it loose here in Michigan when that thing was first released. And I believe that was right around Labor Day weekend of 2007 or 2008. It was one of those 2 years. So
interesting.
Yep.
So stay tuned. More to come. I'm sure we'll have we're gonna have a lot of talk about till June again of next year.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have NRC meetings. We're going to have people having deer rendezvous. We're going to have
just general talk.
Co-op meetings. Yeah, just all kinds of stuff that people be chiming in. And I know right now that the people up in the Thumb area of Michigan, they're looking for APRs.
Yep.
There's a survey going around for that. So we're going to have a lot of deer talk between now and next hunting season for sure.
In a way, I like it.
Yeah.
Because talking is a good thing.
Yeah, it's debating,
Right.
And
right now there has been nothing over in the Thumb area. No cases. There's no cases up by you. There's one case just that.
Are they testing for it in those areas?
It's a good question now, isn't it?
Just wondering.
Right?
So, just a question. But anyway, yeah, debate's good, and I'm open-minded enough to listen to both sides as well. It's like I've got my own opinion, but
Randy Duncan is chiming in.
Randy, do you think having a doe-only season before the rut and then no does shot during or after the rut would help the deer population? Let me think about that. Having a doe-only season before the rut.
So that'd be like October.
Yeah.
Let's say October.
And then no does shot during or after the rut would help the deer population. Help it in what way, I guess? I mean, is it buck to doe ratio? Is it bringing numbers down? What's the goal? Is what I would ask.
What would be that's a very good question to start with. Is what is our goal? Because in one case of shooting the 20 in September, taking off the pressure, getting to half of your quota, that plays into it. Or are you doing it for disease management? Then it doesn't matter. It's just get to your quota.
Yeah, what they've kind of learned is the doe cohort seems to be the one that's carrying the disease and spreading the disease, holding it within those groups. If it's disease control, I'd say I think that would help. But I would also argue the fact that to actually continue that shooting throughout. I wouldn't stop.
You want to know the prevalence between male and female?
Yeah, I'd like to know.
CWD positive deer by sex. Females is at 42%, and males is at 61%.
Okay, now let's so that on the face of information says bucks have it more than does.
Yes.
I would beg to differ on that because in the state of Michigan, what do we shoot more of?
Well, what you'd have to do is you'd have to define.
Do we not shoot more bucks than does in the state of Michigan?
What it doesn't tell us here, as I'm reading quickly here. They've got like in a column deer targeted, called roadkill, disease control or crop damage. It just says a number, but it doesn't say are they only shooting what are they only
Bucks or
shooting?
does, right.
You know, it doesn't say how they've broken that up there.
Right.
It would be interesting to break that number down. I don't know if I can. Nope. But yeah, that is interesting. But typically, we shoot more bucks anyways.
Exactly. So you're going to find more of a prevalence there because you're shooting more of them.
Which follows what we do, right? Exactly
Yep.
what Kip Adams said.
We need to shoot
of
more
Michigan.
does. Yeah.
Said, wow, first thing I noticed, you guys don't shoot enough does.
Right.
So if we shot more does, you're right. I bet you we could swing that number real quick.
Yep.
If it is.
Yeah. You know, it's like in that the doe management video that we put out last year with Wayne Sutton. You know, he says you can squeeze and massage the data all you want to get it to give you the answers you want. And he said, and that's not the way. You shouldn't be manipulating data. And just on the face value right there, that right there would say that oh wow, there's more CWD in bucks than does. And I think that's kind of been the battle flag that the government's kind of been running with here lately. And you know, the conservationist groups are saying, no, wait, you know.
Well, you got to break it down, right?
You got to break it down and really look at the numbers.
There's 88 taken by hunters.
Mm-hmm.
Now tell me, out of those 88, what's male, what's female, what's going on here?
Yeah. Well, I would say it's probably the 42 to 58%. But how many of the heads tested were bucks and how many were tested were does?
Right, exactly. That's the thing.
And what are the age groups? You know, and then taking the age groups. So you got buck dispersal. You've got, you know, and now the research is showing that does disperse as well.
And what did they say? We're only going to test X amount of heads.
Yep.
Of heads.
Yep.
They didn't say they were going to test 300 female, 300 males. They said we're going to test X number of heads.
Right.
Okay. If you test 500 male heads and 100 female heads, and to stop testing because you hit your quota.
I don't get that. I know it's costly to test.
It is costly, but it is what it is, and we'll deal with it. And I'm sure we'll be talking plenty more about it.
Absolutely. So speaking of talking, I think we've talked long enough here on the podcast portion.
You know what? Let's let everybody go. Have a good Sunday evening, because next week will be our last show before Christmas.
Yeah. So the big fella's coming.
Yeah, he is.
All right. You got your list ready?
Absolutely.
You getting coal this year?
Probably not.
That's good. You've been a good boy, huh?
I have been.
Good.
I think he's pretty proud that we were going to the gym.
Yeah, I would hope so.
That's right.
I know it's been a long road, a long 2 months here, but it's finally starting to pay off a little bit. So, but I tell you what, we're going to sign off here on the podcast portion. We'll hang on here on the live stream for a few minutes. So that'll do it for us this week, folks. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Hunting Scents,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Twisted Minds Bowstrings,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Antler Action,
and Family Traditions Tree Stands.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.